Come on, Instagram. Don't do that. Hi, Facebookers. It's Vashana trying to get... Oh, I think I'm good. I think I'm on. Ha. Anyway, hello. How is everything going? I thought I was having some problems getting connected to Instagram for a minute, but I think I have it all together. I am getting ready to come to you live and give you some good content for tonight before you turn in, so you can have something to have sweet dreams about in preparation for work tomorrow. And I'm going to be talking to you about performance appraisal blues. Do you have them? It's that time of year where either you have just finished your performance appraisal at work or you're going through that process. And for some people, they do it at their anniversaries, and so it's not a big deal. Not that it's not a big deal, but it's not like it's one big time of year when everybody's doing them all together. So I want to talk about that because, sometimes it's a good experience and sometimes it's a not so good experience. And, either way, you need to know how to handle it. Especially when it's something that's, it's a little bit unexpected for you. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. So come on in, say hello when you do so that I can say hello right back to you. I am Vashana Weatherspoon, career strategist and excellence accelerator, helping women who feel frustrated in their careers to emerge from stuck and surge to their next level of success. I'm also the host of the Know Your Worth Career podcast that's centered around helping women to navigate through difficult situations or sometimes not necessarily difficult situations, but through some situations that are unique to women in the workplace, to do it successfully, to do it gracefully, and to help to have an impact in their careers, in their pay, in their promotional opportunities, in their satisfaction and fulfillment in their work. We have special guests who come on and talk about different topics that relate specifically to these kinds of issues and interest. And we really want to focus on, what I really focus on is helping women to know their value in the workplace. Because if you don't know it, nobody else is going to come and point it out for you. Most times. Sometimes you'll have a good person who will come up and just, recognize and be willing to share some good feedback with you, but a lot of times you won't. So you have to know that thing and own it for yourself. So, before I jump into talking about these performance appraisal blues, I want to give you an opportunity to like and share this video, tag a friend, a co-worker, someone who you just want to hear this information, who needs to hear this information. Somebody who maybe just had a performance evaluation and it was not, or didn't go as they had expected. A lot of times when you have performance evaluations and they're not what you expected, you're surprised, you're a little thrown off, you're angry. There's a whole range of emotions that you go through. They're all normal. Everybody goes through them. People handle things different ways, but there's it's just like grief. There's a process. So it's a whole process that you go through of dealing with something unexpected. So we're going to talk about that. First of all, who loves performance appraisal time? That's what I want to know. Raise your hand by typing me in the comments. Say me, 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 me. I love performance appraisal time, and some people actually do. But I would venture to say that the majority of people probably don't enjoy it, and for different reasons. Sometimes it could just be the fact that they have to sit down and do a self-evaluation and rate themselves, and a lot of people don't feel comfortable kind of tooting their own horn, so to speak. And they would rather have their supervisors to just tell them what it is that they think, and let's be done with this thing. So some people hate it for that reason. Other people would probably not like it because they don't like hearing feedback. So some people just don't like feedback. They take it really personally and, become defensive about it and really just shut it out. So some people hate it because of that aspect of it. And it's specifically if you're receiving negative comments. Now, if you're receiving a whole bunch of, somebody's blowing smoke up your behind and, saying all kinds of nice things, well, that might be nice. But if it's not that particular case, then it might be a whole different situation, a whole different ball game that you're dealing with. But no matter what the case is, sometimes it could just even be that you have a good evaluation. Maybe you got a good evaluation, but it just wasn't as good as you had expected it to be. Or it wasn't as good as it was the previous year or the year before that. Maybe you had a change in management. You might have had a change in your position. Sometimes when you have a change in your position, you kind of expect that you might not be as stellar as you were the previous year if you're a high performer, just because it's a learning curve. And sometimes that's not the case. It just depends. But anyway, it could be a myriad of reasons why a person would not be all excited about a performance appraisal review. Good or bad. Sometimes companies even have like quotas or restrictions on performance evaluations, and so you can't get above a certain thing, or only so many people can get within this classification or this rank or whatever, because they don't have the funds to be able to give everybody in the organizations, such high ratings. And there's also that consideration that some people don't have a whole lot of self-awareness, and they tend to inflate their self-evaluations, and therefore the job of the supervisor or the boss or the manager is to bring some reality into the situation, and that causes some issues there, and could be another reason why people just don't enjoy that evaluation process. But it doesn't mean it has to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way at all. So what I'm going to talk about here for the next couple of minutes is some things you can do, some things you can consider. If you receive the performance appraisal and it's not what you expected it to be, what do you do? What would you do? If you haven't had that experience, what would you do? So, of course, I'm going to give you something that is really, I feel, constructive, a constructive way to deal with it, which is first and foremost, keep the mindset in the forefront and approach it as a growth opportunity. This is your opportunity to learn, to grow, to get feedback, negative or positive, because even if it's negative or it seems to be negative, you take it and you find the positive in it, put a different spin on it. And that's not self-delusional where your boss is saying you suck and you're saying, oh no, I don't suck, I'm the greatest. Not that. It's actually, taking the feedback, evaluating it, finding, something constructive that you can go and implement as a result of it. That's more of what I'm talking about. Just so we're clear, just so everybody's clear. So, as I was saying, take it as an opportunity for growth. Your initial tendency, of course, might be to become upset and to go into defensive mode, but that will likely become counterproductive. So instead, it's a great idea to opt to take some time to reflect. Reflect upon that evaluation that you got, reflect upon the feedback that you received, and determine, is there any merit to any of the things that I've been told? Have I heard some of these things before? Is there a recurring theme? And if there is, you might just want to take heed and see if there's something about that really maybe you can't see, but other people see. and be able to take some proactive measures to course correct it, to self correct it. And you can also talk with other people. So if you want to validate what you've been told, talk to some other people. Talk to people that you know and who know you well. Talk to people who you know, but they don't know you on a personal level, so you can get more of an objective opinion. If you have a mentor, that would be a good person that you can talk to get some really good feedback. Hopefully, if you had a mentor, they would have been giving you this kind of feedback all along. So when you got to the performance evaluation, you wouldn't be in this particular situation. But nevertheless, it doesn't matter. It's never too late to do something different. We can always make different choices, right? Yeah. So determine, once you've done this reflection period and you kind of sorted things out in your head, everything that you heard and discussed, determine what your position is. Are you going to be committed to, turning this thing around and making it something positive? Are you going to, kind of sulk around in it and really make yourself miserable and create a bad reputation? Or are you just going to say the heck with it and I'm out of there? Because, I don't have to deal with this. You have choices. Everybody has choices. Choices come with consequences, but you always have a choice to make your own decision. But consider, if the evaluation had merit, you determine that the evaluation had merit, then figure out how you can improve and how you can add more value so that next year, when it's time for your performance appraisal, you'll have a different outcome. And that could look like going back and talking to your supervisor again, getting some very concrete steps. If you can get 2 or 3 specific things that you can work on that will help you to improve, and then check in periodically to see how you're doing. You should at least have a mid-year evaluation if you're not checking in more frequently than that, so that you know where you stand at all times. And then it won't be a surprise to you at the end of the year when it's time for evaluation and you get something that you weren't expecting, because you'll be touching bases periodically to kind of know where you're standing. The next thing is, did you find that the evaluation was inaccurate and you want to challenge it? And if so, you have the options to do that too. If you decide that that's what you want to do, then you need to request a meeting with your supervisor to talk about, what you had discussed, what you learned, what you discovered. And, but the main thing is to just be respectful, to be diplomatic about the situation, and try as much as you possibly can to take emotions out of it, so that you're having a very objective conversation. And then seek clarification on any points that were mentioned that are not clear to you. Share your thoughts, share your documentation if you have anything to support that there's an inaccuracy that has occurred in this whole evaluation process. Now, this may or may not be successful, but, have an opportunity to better understand the dynamics, the expectations for you is going to be key for moving forward. The last thing is that, well, actually it's not the last thing, but if you or your boss fundamentally disagree about every single thing that was said, then, that might be when you want to look into some further actions. You might want to get human resources involved. You might want to appeal the decision to some other objective channel that your company has available to you, so that somebody who's outside of the situation can take stock of all the information that has been presented and be able to make some kind of an objective decision. Now, of course, if you decide you're going to go this far, this thing has to be very, very super duper serious. It has to be something major and super serious if it gets to this. But it is an option that you have. And as a matter of fact, performance review time is one of the times when most employees file grievances or complaints at work. And it's about the reviews that they got that they didn't like. And I mean, you can expect that because usually it's tied to money and people they want the money. And especially if they've done the work. So, those are just some options that you have. Now, this could backfire on you because, you have the same boss. When you finish with this grievance process, you're still more than likely going to have the same boss unless you find a new job. And so it might create some tension there that, if you decide to go forward with it, just be willing to deal with it or looking for a job or have something else secure so you can move on and you don't have to deal with that. If you have that kind of boss, maybe you don't and you're lucky and, you can just have a disagreement. You agree to disagree and you move forward. But usually, they are going to be just as vested in defending whatever rating that they gave you as you are in defending the fact that you think that it's wrong. So you have to consider all those things, the whole spectrum of things that have to be considered. And if you plan to stay at the company, it might just be best to just chalk it up to a learning experience. It's a learning opportunity. Figure out what you need to do and how you can move forward, setting yourself up for a better outcome in the next year. So sometimes it's like you pick your battles. And especially if there's some merit to what's been said. If you got a good review, but it's just not as high or as good as you thought it should be, then, sometimes it might not be worth the squeeze in the juice or whatever that analogy is they say. But at any rate, if you find that it is, then, by all means, do what it is that you feel like you need to do for yourself and your career. Because if it's going to create a bad reputation, a bad image, something negative for you in your career, then you want to definitely, have that addressed because you don't want that to be something that permanently follows you around or prohibits you from getting your next opportunity, especially if there's some inaccuracies there. But, a lower than expected performance evaluation is not necessarily the end of the world. It's not. You can choose to turn it into an opportunity. Now, let me clarify and say that sometimes you really do just have a mean, big, vindictive, just a nasty old boss or an incompetent boss. But I would venture to say that the majority of the time, that's probably not the case. So in that case, you might just want to consider what's best for you. What's the best thing for you? Like I said, there's a whole lot of different dynamics here. There's a lot of different circumstances and situations that need to be considered. So figure out what's the best thing for you. And there are times when moving on is simply the best solution that you could possibly make in this situation. Because, your next year is going to look like last year, is going to look like the year after next. And if that's the case, you're in a position that is not, it's more than likely not the one that's going to be beneficial to you and your growth and your expansion in your career. So that's all I wanted to share to you tonight about the performance appraisal blues. So if you're going through the blues, adopt that mindset of let's see if there's something that, I can get out of this. What can I gain out of this? What can I learn from this? How can I take this and turn this thing around so that next year I have a different outcome? Now, if you're someone who is looking to level up your career to your next level, and you're not quite sure what that needs to look like. Maybe you did get that bad performance review and you've determined that it's time to move on, but you want to figure out what it is that you need to do that's really going to bring you happiness, that's really going to make you feel a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment, and earn you the income that you desire and have the opportunities that you really want, then you want to get a copy of my free 3-part e-course entitled Career on Fire: 3 Steps to Your Next Level. You can get your free copy on my website at www.vashanaweatherspoon.com. It's absolutely free, and it'll walk you through some different steps and exercises that in the end you come up with some good information to help you to make some concrete decisions about what you need to be doing, what your next steps should be to help you to have that career that you really desire. That's all I have for you guys tonight. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your evening. I will see you again tomorrow. Don't forget to like and share this video. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.